Well, getting lucky. We're going to have some warm weather this week. The next couple of days, the highs are going to be in the low to mid 60s. And then I think 3 or 4 days after that, we're going to be in the low 70s. So when it's about 10 a.m. gets around here, it'll be plenty warm enough to come out here and work and do any more priming if I have to. But something I'm showing today, I primed and blocked this door and this quarter panel, I'm going to say 6 to 8 weeks ago, something like that. I like to prime things and let it set a while and dry and cure and shrink up. Just going to do any shrinking, and then work on all the various other parts of this car I've got to work on. Like a few days ago, I spent almost 2 weeks worth of time working on that hood. Finally, it's turned out pretty good. It's got dust all over it now, but it is really straight everywhere. The only area I seen that I was the slightest bit concerned about was right here when the primer was wet. I could see some little bitty ripples and like a low spot. And I figured when I was blocking it, the hood flexed. So next time around, when I block it, I gotta just let the weight of the block do the work. And it's only going to get 320 hit on this dry with a block, and then I'll go back over it and hand sand it with 500 and be ready for sealer and paint. And, those little spots there, if you're wondering, first I thought they were bugs in there, but turned out they were little chunks of primer come out of my gun, so I had to get my gun cleaned up good. But to get back over here, main reason why I'm doing this video, this little area right here curves inwards, and when you get to the front part of the door, it starts curving kind of down just a little bit. You got all kinds of funny curves. And you got all those little spots right here. Luckily, the mirror goes over that, so you can hand sand that with your finger. Not a lot to worry about. But I've got this Durablock here. I can't see the number on it. It's all wore off there. Anyway, this thing works good. I like them. Some people call them Dura shit because they don't like them because the block's flex. But that's one thing I like about it, is the block is firm enough to where you can get your problem areas worked out flat, but it also has a little bit of flex to it, to where if there's areas like this, the block will conform to it. So I'll show you here. I've already blocked this. There's a slight little low spot right there. But luckily, with curves, they hide things so you can't see them. So that's one good thing about the curve. And then with this block flexing, even though it does flex and it kind of follows the contour a little bit, it will get it blocked out to where, to your eye when the car is done, 98% of the people, you're not going to see the flaw that's there. There are some people that are really picky, but there are people that are pickier than me, and they notice things. But what I was going to show here with this block, it's going to be kind of hard for me to do, to hold the camera and block it, but you hold this with 2 hands, one on each end. That way it keeps even pressure on both ends of it, and you kind of push it down in there, not super hard, but just kind of medium firmness, and then roll it back and forth like this. And you got to keep working as you're working up and down and rolling that back and forth. Go side to side and go the whole length of this thing all the way down it like that. That'll get that blocked out. Now, you can't sit here and take this thing and just saw it back and forth like this, because you're going to cut straight lines in it and it's going to look like hammered dog poop when you're done. So it's in a way, I guess you could call it cross hatching. Sand back and forth this way, and you come back and forth that way, and you just keep rolling that block back and forth. And when you use these other blocks like this one, do the same thing. Like that quarter panel there, it's not exactly flat. It curves, kind of like an egg this way, and it also curves out this way. I mean, it's really got like an egg shape to it. So when you're blocking this, you got to do the same thing. You know, back and forth this way, and back and forth that way. And you can't stay in one area very long. You really need to work the whole length of the panel, going back and forth, working that block like that. And when you're going diagonal that way one time, then when you go back the other way, go diagonal that way. And your block gets it flat, and you get your imperfections out of there. But a lot of times there's little bits of glue and dust and everything that get in between the sandpaper and the block. So it will leave little bitty lines that you can see that are blocked into the primer, or sometimes also the very edge of the block, like right there. If you was to hold it that way, it could cut a line in there. So that's why after I block this with 320 before I paint it, I like to go back with a piece of DA 500 grit, and I've got a little circle pad that's firm. I stick that 500 grit on there, and I go and I sand the whole car with that. And that way I get all those little blocking lines out of there. And then whenever I put my sealer on there, I go and inspect it all, and I look and see if there's any more little blocking lines in place. If there is, then I just use a squirt bottle with some water and spray it a little bit and sand it with 1000 grit, getting any imperfections out of there that I see that way. Or every once in a while there's a pinhole someplace that you've missed, or there could be a small little sand scratch. But I always finish all my body work with 180 grit. That way I don't have to worry about sand scratches. I don't have to worry about anything shrinking and showing. The worst thing I got to worry about is pinholes. And if I got pinholes, I can mix up some metal glaze and razor blade and wipe it down in there, let it kick off, and come back, and then I'll use a little wooden paint paddle, or I've got a little piece of aluminum block. It's about 1 inch long. I'll put 1000 grit on there with some water, and I'll block that. Then I'll put some sealer back over it, let that dry. And then sometimes you got to go back and sand around the edge where you spot sealed it, because you'll have a halo, and that will show, especially if you're doing some high metallic color or a tri-coat. So just doing a few tips, and I've talked about a few various things with blocking, you know, priming and painting. So that's it for today so far. I'm going to try to get this door blocked now. Well, I am going to get this door blocked, and I'm going to get primer on this door and that quarter panel. And call it a day. I got to wait for primer. We got primer ordered, and be the last gallon. I'm going to use that gallon to make sure I got plenty to seal the door jambs, the trunk, the outside of the car, whatever I got to do. And then we're going to put some color on this baby. And if I'm lucky enough, I may have a deal worked out where I can paint this car in a paint booth for a guy that did some work for a couple of years ago. He's wanting me to paint a car for him. So I may say about trading out some of the money he was going to pay me for painting that car to see if he'll let me paint this in there. That way I've got a better paint booth. I mean, I can paint it here, but I've got a lot to do. I got a lot of cleaning to do, and I got to seal up a lot of holes, you know, like all that stuff here. There's too much cracks and crevices to be holding dirt and sucking dirt in. So anyway, that's enough for this video. It's 8 minutes and 50 seconds. So as always, if what I've shared here helps you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends. Appreciate it.